good, everybody? It's your boy Todd Smith here yet once again with another episode of No Gimmicks Podcast alongside my TNT partner Dale Clifford out there in Fernley, Nevada. Just got done checking out the SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view No Mercy. Dale, what's your thoughts on this, my man?
It was okay. The booking of the card overall seemed a little bit ass backwards and kind of just tracking some things. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that they were going up against the second presidential debate, so they were trying to get the main event out before the debate started. So
I'm yawning. I'm yawning. You said president. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Exactly right. It's like I think I would rather have watched the pay-per-view myself, but then listen to the two people that are going to decide the fate of our country. How bad is that? But
yeah. I'll remain silent on that one just in case the FBI is listening or anything. Anyhow, let's talk about the WWE SmackDown brand pay-per-view No Mercy. So let's start off here with the main event. The main event which actually started off the show. So we have AJ Styles versus John Cena versus Dean Ambrose. Basically, no rules, no disqualifications here. The good definitely is the fact that AJ Styles retained. He retained. John Cena did not win the title for the 16th time, breaking Ric Flair's streak in the or his record of 15 title wins in the process. Dale, what's your thoughts on the bad for this match here?
I know. I think the bad kind of just has to be the finish to this thing. At first, when Dean Ambrose locked in the calf killer, and then Cena followed up with his attitude or his finisher that I kind of forget what the heck it's called. It's called the STF, and he followed up with the STF, and then AJ tapped out. And then it looked like Mike Chioda kind of kept the match going, but at first I thought he was just telling Dean and John that it was going to be a one-on-one match, and I was like, what the...
I thought the same exact thing.
I'm like, man, don't tell me that AJ Styles is out of this thing, because I'm like, oh, here comes John Cena's record-tying title reign, and then all of a sudden AJ pulls out Chioda on the attempt at the pin, and I was like, oh, thank God AJ's still in it. So, yeah, it just kind of had to be the finish. Well, then obviously AJ uses a steel chair, and it kind of seemed like after the restart, it was kind of a quick finish. AJ uses the chair and then goes over and retains the title. He remains dirty.
Yeah, definitely some weak chair shots there too. My whole thing is, hey, AJ, if you're gonna swing that chair, make it count, man. I'm in agreement with you on that one. I can honestly say I was even slightly confused myself because I kind of saw the same thing coming. I said, oh goodness. I said, yep, AJ's out of it, and we're gonna have a new champion. And I said, I seriously did not see them putting the belt back on Dean, so I figured it was a way for them to give it back to John. But wait, there's more. And then AJ, as you said, he recovers, he pulls the ref out, and then we get to the ugly of this match. I'm noticing the new trend of a lot of nasty-looking apron bump spots in the WWE. This is something we had not seen until recently. This is used commonly on the indie scene, in like a Ring of Honor and some of those companies like Lucha Underground and whatnot. But that suplex that AJ Styles, I believe, delivered onto John Cena onto the apron, that was definitely the ugly in this match. You have anything else to add to that, Dale?
Nope. I think we're in agreement on that one.
Yeah, so good. Like I said, AJ retained. The bad, we weren't very happy with the finish, and then the ugly, the suplex on the apron. So moving on to the match between Nikki and Carmella. Basically the good, we have two very beautiful women who were involved in this match, who were wrestling, and I can honestly say that the wrestling action was not very good, but, it was definitely something for us to enjoy in terms of the two women who were displaying their skills out there, or lack thereof, in the ring. So with that being said, we'll move on to the bad. Dale, what do you have to say is the bad between these two here that competed?
Yeah, I guess as we kind of talked, really the bad was that we just didn't kind of care for this match at all. Nope. It was like I just kind of felt like this was the ass backwards booking of this card. This would be the match to kind of presets the main event, and that's kind of what we're getting now. It's the match that followed the main event, so we just move on.
Yep, the bathroom break, basically. Yeah. Yeah, so then we move on to that, and basically, the ugly that I took away from this match. Nikki used that forearm shot, I want to say, against Naomi on the last pay-per-view at Backlash, and she cracked her upside her head with that forearm shot. It looked nasty, and then she did the same thing again tonight to Carmella. That's a nice stiff-looking forearm that she's got there. But the way that she made the impact and left a dent on the side of Carmella's face, that definitely was the ugly from that match. So now next we're going to have the SmackDown tag match here for the titles. Heath Slater and Rhino versus the Usos. The Usos were displaying a new attitude, a new demeanor, more of a heelish demeanor. They even got some new theme music, some new duds, which we'll get to here in a couple of moments. But basically, the good, we both were in agreement that Heath Slater hit one very sick-looking rotating power slam on Jimmy Uso from off the second rope. Cannot say I've ever seen that done before. I've actually seen someone deliver, somewhat of a power slam variation, but never a rotating version. So that was our take on the good. Dale, what's the bad?
You know what? I kind of just feel like the bad is that the bad boys, the Usos, didn't win this thing. It kind of felt like this is the direction we were going, is to set up the Usos versus American Alpha. That's kind of where it felt like SmackDown Live was building the tag team division, and now I don't know where we're going.
Or so we
I have
thought.
No idea what we're doing. Heath Slater and Rhino win. Obviously, American Alpha and the Hype Bros kind of won the 8-man tag match in the kickoff show, so they still have some momentum going forward. But that's all 3 face tag teams now that are sitting atop the tag team ladder, because you kind of got to feel like the Usos are a step down. So maybe we're going to get American Alpha and the Usos, but without the tag team titles on the line. So definitely that's the bad.
Yeah, and I don't get that. I don't get that whatsoever. Pretty much you just summed it up. I don't like the fact that Slater and Rhino won. I don't really like the fact that they paired those two up together as a tag team. But anyhow, it is what it is. Moving on to the ugly of that match. Now,
them shoes, though.
My goodness. Okay, so let me say this real quick here. Who's the guy who owns Nike, or the guy who created Nike? Was it Phil Knight? The dude who does all the stuff for the University of Oregon, for the Oregon Ducks?
Yeah, it's the owner of Nike.
Okay, did Jimmy and Jey Uso get some sort of like a deal, a shoe contract with Phil Knight? I swear. I mean, it's almost like they either that or they just got a pair of white shoes and they just went crazy with a yellow highlighter on them. Those have got to be some of the ugliest shoes that I've seen anybody sport lately. I mean, they have all kind of different colors and creations and stuff. The ones that light up, like Naomi was using there for a moment, and all different kinds of patterns and designs. That definitely, I was just like, my goodness. I mean, it was just like people who have any sort of issues with color blindness or whatnot. I don't know if they'd be able to deal with that. Those definitely were ugly. So we're going to go ahead and not spend any more time on the Usos' choice of ring gear or footwear. And let's talk about Baron Corbin versus Jack Swagger. So with Corbin and Swagger, we both agreed that the good was the great execution of the end of days finisher that Corbin put on the Swagger. And for Swagger being a rather large opponent for Baron Corbin, I mean, he goes probably about 6'5" or so, that was beautifully executed. Very fluid looking. I've seen him execute that move on smaller opponents and it didn't look as fluid as that. Dale, what's the bad in this match here?
The bad kind of has to be Jack Swagger, although a little mixed here is like he at least is back on TV getting utilized on SmackDown Live. But the fact is that he isn't really gaining any momentum from the change from Raw to SmackDown. He kind of is still that middle card guy. At least he's getting some TV time in a pay-per-view match. But really, no momentum gained. He lost this. He was supposed to be the big acquisition from SmackDown Live, getting a guy from Raw, and he loses to a guy already on the roster and Corbin. So I kind of got to go with bad that Swagger really isn't picking up any momentum.
And I agree with you on that one. And let's move to the ugly. Now, I want to say, have mentioned this on one of our earlier episodes of No Gimmicks Podcast, how Baron Corbin's hairline is beginning to get allergic to his forehead. In other words, his hairline is receding. Now, it was at one point in time a mullet that Baron Corbin sported. Now it's more becoming kind of a skullet. Baron, let it go, brother. Get a hold of one of them razors that they have, the ones, who is it, Gillette that made some, the one that has the 8 blades on it, and find a way to either just cut it all off and let it go, or you need to give my man, who's the guy who does hair club for men? They still got hair club for men nowadays, or they have that stuff that you sprinkle on your hair that looks like pepper that kind of mixes in and kind of fills it out for you. He needs some help with his hairline there, so that's definitely the ugly of that match there.
I was just going to say, I kind of think that Corbin's hairline might be bad or ugly as we go forward, just constantly, just because it's that bad.
Yeah, it's increasingly going in a backward direction, kind of like this pay-per-view. So, moving on to the Intercontinental title match, which you and I both agreed should have closed out the show. Pun intended. The Good. This was an awesome match, featuring both Dolph Ziggler and The Miz. And, of course, the story that had been going around is that this was going to be Dolph Ziggler's final match in WWE, and he was actually looking at moving on from the company. Well, they worked us, didn't they? Those two put on one hell of a match. Dolph definitely brought his working shoes with him tonight, man. I mean, he put on an awesome effort. Yeah, and The Miz as well. The Miz definitely did his share out there tonight. Those two worked very well together. Good, solid chemistry out of the two. So let's talk about the bad. Dale, what do we have that we didn't like about this match?
I just wanted to add one quick comment on the Good. I saw a tweet from Tommy Dreamer that said Savage and Steamboat's Intercontinental title match may have to take a back seat to Miz and Ziggler.
And that's kind of a legendary match in the annals of wrestling history. That is like one of my favorite matches from my childhood, because that happened at WrestleMania 3, so I was probably about 7 years old maybe when I saw that. That match is a classic. This was a very, very good match, but I still can't put it ahead of a legend like Randy Savage or someone like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I'd say like definitely in top 5 for an Intercontinental title match, but not the best. I'm sorry, Tommy Dreamer. I can't agree with you. If you listen to this program, you're the hardcore legend and all that. But yeah, we don't agree on this one.
Just had to throw that out there. All right. So to the bad, I kind of think that the bad here was all of Miz's failed attempts to get over on Dolph this night. Obviously, we had the hairspray again from Maurice and the return of 2 of the Spirit Squad members that we'd seen back on SmackDown Live. But this time, trying to not help Dolph Ziggler get over, as in they were trying to help The Miz finish off a Dolph Ziggler, because apparently the Dolph no longer is a part of the Spirit Squad, so now they're out to get him, I guess.
Yeah, and my question was, where were the other 2 members of the Spirit Squad? Where was Johnny and where was Mitch? Because they only got 2 of those guys to show up, and Kenny actually looked in very good shape, man. WWE, you need to try to find a way to hang on to that guy and save him. And then you got Mikey Mondo over there, who looked like he's been eating cheeseburgers on his time off, because that guy, he looks like he's put on quite a few pounds and lost all his hair in the process while he's been off of WWE TV. Which moves us to the next category, the ugly. I don't know. You said that you kind of dug it a little bit. I was not feeling Dolph Ziggler's ring gear at all. It kind of looked like a failed attempt at what the Hart Foundation used to wear back in the day, with the pink and the white and the black and everything. I don't know. It just more reminded me of Pepto-Bismol. That's all I kept on thinking of. That's the color of pink that it reminded me of, at least.
I didn't hate it, but again, when we just kind of looked at this match, we'd had a tough time trying to find something that was ugly, which I guess is a good thing, which tells you that this match is probably the match of the night, and it was. When we're struggling to find an ugly, that's a good thing for this stuff. But I just
without question.
But I will make the comment on Dolph's ring gear. It kind of feels like he's going with some of the retro looks. I know that a few of the times his gears looked reminiscent of Shawn Michaels, and then obviously if this one,
right,
you took this one as being representation of the Hart Foundation, so there you go. He kind of looks like maybe he's following some retro trend here with his gear as we go forward, and obviously we're going to get to see more of it because he didn't lose.
Yeah, which is a good thing. More of Dolph Ziggler on TV, especially on SmackDown Live, is a good thing. So kudos WWE in keeping this guy around. Now, for the next match, let's go ahead and state the fact. It was originally supposed to be Alexa Bliss taking on Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's World Title. However, due to an injury, Becky Lynch was not cleared to compete this evening. So we got Alexa Bliss taking on Naomi instead, which leads me to the good. The good being Naomi getting on the main card. That's good stuff. As we discussed on one of our previous episodes with our yay or nay, it's always good to see Naomi get out there and display her athleticism. She is definitely one of the more underrated females that they have on the WWE roster. But however, there was a bad to this as well, wasn't there, Dale?
Yeah, I kind of just think that the bad is that Alexa Bliss loses in a non-title match after originally being booked to face Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and all of a sudden now you're putting her up against Naomi and you're going to have her lose to Naomi. I feel like her credibility as being the challenger for Becky now takes a step backwards, but that didn't happen. On Talking Smack, they announced that we're going to get Becky versus Alexa Bliss at the November 8th show in Glasgow, so I guess Alexa's still going to get her title shot, but really, how much do you think that she's actually going to win now following a loss to Naomi?
I don't. I don't think she's going to win. And, I'm just going to state this, I think Alexa Bliss got called up to the main roster way too early. I think she could have benefited for some more seasoning, some more training down there, like in the developmental territory and working on NXT. Yeah. NXT
could sure use a heel woman right now too, so.
Yeah, they could. This match wasn't exactly the most interesting, match on the No Mercy card. However, from working the TV industry, Dale and I, we've ran our share of cameras. And there was one point in the match where I want to say Alexa was working over an armbar of some sort on Naomi. She was kind of talking smack to her and whatnot, no pun intended. And there was a camera shot that was taken that even drew a reaction from the crowd. So the camera operator zoomed in on the Tron. I don't think they refer to it as the Titantron anymore, the SmackDown Tron or whatever. And the other person who was actually taking the shot of the action, they zoomed in close on that, and then they started to perform a move where they were pulling out, which created this crazy looking feedback, basically. Almost kind of like the effect of what you see when you go into a fun house and you enter the house of mirrors, where you see multiples of everything. It was just kind of a weird looking effect, it kind of gave everyone that like, whoa, what did I just see kind of thing. And I told, I'd said to Dale, this is something that could have been used during the whole Orton versus Bray Wyatt match, and actually kind of what fit in, with the whole weird, storyline that those two have going on. So that was definitely the ugly of that match there, from more the production end rather than the action taking place in the ring. But moving on to the final match of the night, not the main event, we got Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. Couple things, that were actually pretty good in this match here. Finally, Bray Wyatt gets a win. He gets a win on a pay-per-view, and it's the last, thing that we see to end the show. And not only that, we get the long-awaited return of Luke Harper, who was my favorite Wyatt, the best worker in the Wyatt family, and he actually got a very good reaction from the crowd. Dale, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I was telling my wife and father-in-law when we were watching this, it's like, Luke Harper's back, which is absolutely fantastic, but it kind of feels like with the Wyatt family, it's like gain one, lose one, because now Eric Rowan is out with an injury, so the Wyatt family continues to remain Bray and one of the tag team members.
Right.
But albeit the better one in Luke Harper, so I expect bigger things to come with Bray and Luke together than Bray and Eric Rowan.
Yeah. Eric Rowan, a.k.a. the groundskeeper Willie look-alike, who's got, a torn rotator cuff currently, I believe you said?
And yeah. And
Okay.
So and obviously the bad about Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, it really just didn't feel like the main event.
No, not at all.
Which is unfortunate. It was like when you're talking about the caliber of Randy Orton and the stature of Bray. Well, obviously a lot of that is to do with Bray really just doesn't have much credibility when it comes to the pay-per-views, and Randy is kind of not. He's not the dominant Randy Orton anymore after kind of being shoved aside by Brock Lesnar.
Right.
I think Randy's status is a little bit lower. So that's the thing. You can kind of get a guy he's got the name Orton, long career, obviously multi-generations. And then Wyatt, same thing, multi-generations, but he's not carrying the family name. But it just completely did not feel at all like the main event of the evening.
Yeah. So the ugly, I would say, was definitely the spot on the outside of the ring where Bray Wyatt went for a senton. He went for a running senton onto Randy Orton, who was laid out on the stairs. And Randy moved out the way, and he went at that set of stairs, I'd say probably like 10, 15 miles per hour. And with all that guy's size and whatnot, he came crashing down on those stairs, and that just looked ugly. There's no other way to say it. That looked very painful as well. So if we had to give this whole entire show, No Mercy, Dale, a grade on the No Gimmicks scale from 1 to 5, what would you rate it?
It's going to be a 3. Does not meet up with what SmackDown's first pay-per-view Backlash was, but it definitely is better than Raw's Clash of the Champions, which we had at about a 2.5. So obviously I got to go 3.
I want to say, because of the fact, I think the positives definitely outweighed the negatives here. And I think, like you said, we're going to definitely get to see, what WWE Raw can rebound with here with the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view that they have coming up. But I just really feel that SmackDown overall, they're killing it in terms of the pay-per-views for the separate brands right now. I'm going to actually say 3.5. I'm going to say 3.5 on the No Gimmicks scale, and I definitely think there were more things that I liked on this show that I didn't like. The only, main factor, like we said, the show was really backwards. It was booked from, the main event being up top, and then, a match that really very well could have been the opener between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, because I think that Miz and Dolph should have closed out the program. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this edition of the No Gimmicks podcast. Thanks for joining us as we recapped the WWE SmackDown exclusive No Mercy pay-per-view. So please visit us on our official YouTube channel. You can find us by searching the No Gimmicks podcast, YouTube on Google. If you would like to receive our notifications when we release our new episodes, please subscribe to us. We would like to hear from our viewers, so please leave us some feedback in our comment section. And also, please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at the No Gimmicks PC. Be on the lookout for my updates on my personal LinkedIn account weekly, usually on Monday afternoons. And please remember, sharing is caring. So feel free to share our links to our episodes with our wrestling fans and on your social media accounts as well. So that does it for this episode of No Gimmicks Podcast. For my tag team partner, Dale Clifford, out there in Fernley, Nevada, this is Todd Smith in Bristol, Connecticut, signing off. Until next time around, y'all take care.